So origin and pivot points. So if we notice that we have this little dot at the center of our object right here, that's going to be our origin or pivot point. Blender refers to this a lot as origin, but if you ever hear me say pivot point, that's going to be the same thing. Most applications call it pivot point, but I'll try to stick with origin as much as possible. And then if you notice, if we rotate this around like this, it's at the center, right? But this one up here, the pivot point or the origin is going to be at the top. Right, so that's going to be what we're going to work on now. So before we get going, what I'm going to do is just select my cube here and then hit down over my time slider right here, hit A to select all, and then I'm going to hit X and then delete keyframes. And then what we're going to do is just kind of zero all of this out right here. And then 1, 1, 1, 1. So just setting all these back to the default settings. And then we'll just go ahead and set up the initial scene really quick. The Z is going to be 1 right here for our cube. And then I'm simply going to make a new cube right here. And then the values here are going to be 0.5 and 0.5 and then 10. And then I'm going to just simply move this up. About 11 is going to work for us on that one. And now what we want to do is move the pivot point of this to be at the top. So our cube down here is going to be fine for the most part. Up here, though, is where we have the problem. So to be able to control where this pivot point goes, what we're going to need to do is move our cursor at the top, and then we can tell it to do the pivot point wherever our cursor is at. So I'm going to go ahead and go into edit mode by hitting tab, and then go into my face selection right here. Select my face right there, and then simply go to mesh, go to snap, and what we're going to do is cursor to selected. And then bam, our cursor is going to be right there where our face is. We'll go into object mode, and now what we'll do is we'll go to object, we'll go to set origin, and then do origin to 3D cursor. So now when we rotate this around, we have our pivot point or origin right there at the top. And then we'll notice that we have a kind of a problem as we kind of test around right now. We're actually setting keyframes up. So what we're going to do is just before we actually rotate it around, just make sure we turn off auto key. And we'll get into manual keyframes next.